Nothing in this world can take the place of persistence, goes the old saw. Neither genius, nor talent, nor education. Even though this kind of advice is often given regarding career success, couldn't you apply the same advice to just playing the lottery? Education, talent, or genius won't help you win. Only the persistent hard work of continuing to buy a ticket day after day. We like to believe there's more than just persistently playing our hand in a game of chance that determines our success in our careers and our startups and our art. But when some of the best career advice out there is essentially just keep trying, it's worth asking the question of whether or not our success is based on just a roll of the dice. Take, for example, the story of a group of advisors at an investment firm who had, throughout their careers, been receiving hefty bonuses at the end of the year based on their performance. If they picked stocks that gave a better return for their clients, then they got a bigger bonus. But then they made the mistake of asking Dan Kahneman to speak to their organization, and they offered him some of their data on performance and bonuses. Now, if their success in earning these bonuses had been based on skill, you would expect to see a correlation. Those who performed well one year would be more likely to do well in later years. But instead, he found that the average correlation year over year was 0.01. He told them that, at least when it came to building portfolios, the firm was rewarding luck as if it were skill. One mark of success among research scientists is how much funding you've been awarded through research grants. These are supposedly awarded to the most capable scientists, often by government organizations, to do important work for the public good. Now, it's possible that the more capable scientists can churn out grant applications much more quickly. Or you might suspect the opposite, that it might take more time to write those top-notch applications that win. Either way, you'd be wrong. There was no correlation between time spent writing a grant and whether it got funded. What did predict the total amount awarded to a researcher? Just the total number of grants that they applied for. Basically, how many times they rolled the dice. Furthermore, the judges of those grant applications often disagree completely on which are of high or low quality. Similarly, in a study that took several published academic papers and then resubmitted them to the journal that originally published them, of those that didn't notice the duplicate submission, 89% were rejected, occasionally citing serious methodological flaws. That's not the outcome you'd expect if quality and ability determined what was published. That's what you'd expect if random chance was the major factor. You might also recall from another video here that random chance plays a big role in what music becomes popular. Initial perceptions in what seems to be selling well can cause dramatic and unpredictable changes in what songs become the top sellers. We go into the details of this research here. If all this is starting to concern you, then don't worry. We have at our disposal many successful people who are happy to share with us the secrets of their success. Although many will emphasize persistence, we're offered many other suggestions as well, like making sure you follow your passion. However, there's a problem with taking their advice, and that problem is called survivorship bias. Survivorship bias is the error of having an invisible control group, often because one group has survived some process that the others haven't, focusing on the living instead of the dead, or on winners instead of losers, or on successes instead of failures, according to David McCraney. Say that Steve Jobs says the secret to your success is to follow your passion. After all, he followed his passion and was successful. Why shouldn't we trust him? However, we don't know how many people followed their passions and failed, or found success by ignoring their passions, or just not developing them. To find out for sure, you'd need to randomly assign some people to pursue passion projects, and others to focus on other projects, and then see if there are any differences in their rates of success or well-being. And without that kind of evidence of a difference, we don't know whether this advice is any better than just rolling the dice. Trust their advice, and you run the risk of committing the Texas sharpshooter fallacy, so named after a proverbial gun wielder who fired randomly into the side of his barn, and then walked up to it and painted a bullseye over the spot with the most bullet holes. Asking only successful people about the secret to their success is like asking only that shooter how he got to be such a great shot. Not only that, but it seems like success can also blind you to the effects of luck. People in higher income brackets are more likely to report that getting rich is the result of hard work rather than luck or randomness. They worked hard and got rich, and so naturally they thought there was an association. But since it's not their personal experience, it's harder for them to draw to mind the millions who are working hard with little advancement to show for it. Even while playing an obviously rigged game of Monopoly in which some players got half the salary and could only roll one die, those who were randomly assigned to play with obvious advantages were more likely to report that they deserved their fate. It seems as though the opposite is true as well. When people were primed to remember factors outside their control that led to their success, they were more charitable than when primed to remember things they specifically did. Now, there are lots of studies that identify factors that predict success. Educational, personal, and professional experiences, demographic factors like race and gender, personality traits, and cognitive abilities. But even our best attempts to try to predict success often find there's lots of variations still left unexplained by those factors. It seems that a good portion of our success might still be randomly determined. There is another possibility, though. It could be that there's some other consistent trait or behavior that we still don't know how to measure. But if that's the case, it would need to be something that's unrelated to those factors we named before. I don't know which is the case. What do you think? Is a major part of our success randomly determined? Or is there some trait we can't measure that determines our success? Leave a comment and we'll talk about it next time. Speaking of which, I want to highlight Daniel's comment on the video about the Myers-Briggs test. He rightly points out that the original intent of the thinking-feeling dimension didn't have to do with general or emotional intelligence, but had to do with decision strategies. This is a great point that I skipped right over because I was more focused on addressing how I often see people interpret that dimension, but he's completely correct in pointing out this is a misinterpretation. I'm also hoping to address the decision strategies that might reflect the original intent of that dimension in a future video. It is in the title of this channel, after all. And if you liked this video, click subscribe. I keep making them, and I like when people see them. And for now, just keep being persistent at rolling those dice. Thanks for watching.